we had a pre-need insurance policy come through yesterday. I'm typically not the one that goes through and handles all the paperwork for filing, getting the claim, but I had to do it. And I'll tell you, I never want to do it again. And we have two people here that are experts at filing. This is Andy and Deanna from Express Funeral Funding. They do a whole lot of work in helping funeral homes get that taken care of. I'll let both of you talk about what you do, but it's something that's a huge pain in the neck for most of us funeral directors. If you ever known it, I think we've even done some videos about it on our social media about like this is just the worst thing, like top 10 worst things that's on it. So tell us a little bit about Express Funeral Funding for you both, Andy and Deanna, and how'd you get involved in the first place too?
Sure. Well, thank you, first of all, Michael, for having us on
Oh
here.
yeah.
We've been going at this for over 20 years now, so it's a blur how fast the
Yeah.
time flies. But we've been filing insurance since technically, what is it, 2003?
2002. Yeah.
Okay.
2002. I joined the company in 2012, end of 2012, and then Deanna joined, what, 17?
Yeah, beginning of 2017.
Nice.
17. So we started when I joined the company. We had a little over 300 customers, and now we work in all 50 states, Puerto Rico, Canada, and
Wow.
cover about just under 3,000 funeral homes around the country. And
That's amazing.
essentially, what we do is we make funeral homes more profitable by taking the burden of dealing with life insurance off of their
Mm-hmm.
shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the traditional method was a family would bring you a policy, and then the funeral home would fill out all the paperwork,
Yep.
send that to the insurance company, and then wait to get paid back. And with us, there's a couple of benefits. Is one, it doesn't have to cost you anything, but two, you fill out one sheet of paper, you send it to us, we verify the policy, and then get you paid up front. So you're not waiting for your
That's
money.
awesome.
It doesn't have to cost you anything by passing the fee to the policy, which is pretty nominal. It's less than if the family swipes a credit card and pays the interest on a credit card.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of families pay using credit cards. You don't have to do the claim forms, any of the documents with the policy. We take care of all of that for the funeral home and for the family, which is it's a
Right.
burden. Follow up with the insurance company after they lose a loved one. They don't want to deal with filing a life insurance claim, so it's kind of a
No.
win-win on all aspects. But
It is, and
yeah,
I think one of the big things that you touch on there is just from a cash flow perspective for a funeral home. Like you sometimes are waiting on these policies for so long, and it's what if you're having a slow month and you really need that or something like that. That's such a big advantage to have. Let alone put aside all the effort that you have to put in when there's a million other things we have to be doing. It's funny as I'm a funeral director myself, and I just know how many hats that we have to wear, and they're just way too many. And if there's ever a way where we can delegate one of our tasks that maybe we're not the best at, or maybe it occupies too much of our time, whatever that might be, it's all I highly encourage you to do that because your time is so valuable, and it could be better spent serving families and doing the things that you do best. And it seems like this is one of those things that would really do that for a funeral home.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, your funeral homes, you're probably already outsourcing for website or accounting services, probably marketing services. And while
They should
funding,
be.
yeah, should be. Well, funding's been around for, over 50 years. I mean, in the textile industries and other industries, it's super common. In the funeral space, it just hasn't been super common
Yeah.
until recently when insurance companies, things have gotten a lot more difficult. You talk about back in the day where, it used to be easy. You'd file with your local life insurance. You probably get the check right there. You knew the guy.
Yep.
Now things are a lot different. There's a lot more intricacies involved. There's a lot more claim paperwork. There's a lot more to the verification process.
Sure.
Just
yeah,
a
you
lot more
used
that
to
goes
know
in.
the local agent. I mean, back in the day, you
Yeah.
knew Bob, and Bob's at State Farm. He's going to drive a check down here. And now it's, you're calling overseas. You're calling the
Yeah.
Philippines. There's a process, there's documents, and then you got to follow up with all the death certificate, funeral bill, whatever else that the claim requires. And it's a burden. I mean, it's a pain in the butt. It's the last thing funeral directors want to be doing.
Yep.
And that's why funding companies have become so popular. We
Yeah.
have about 20 competitors in the space, and When I started,
Wow.
we probably had 7 competitors. So it's a big market for funeral homes, and it's such a burden. I mean, we'll walk into it's not uncommon for us to walk into a funeral home and see hundreds of thousands of dollars on their accounts
Right.
receivable.
Mm-hmm.
And, Deanna worked for a casket company, so she could see, funeral homes not being able to take advantage of a summer discount on buying because they're waiting for their money.
Yeah.
It's time. Um,
Yeah, when you're waiting for your money, it's costing you, monetarily, but then you're also missing out on a lot of other opportunities. So what
Yes.
you just mentioned there, when I worked for the casket company, if you paid within your 30-day terms, you'd get, 15% off your casket bill. Well,
Mm-hmm.
we had funeral homes. I saw how many couldn't pay within those 30-day terms, and you're thinking, well, you don't hold a service without, receiving payment. Well, then I learned
You
many
learn
do.
that is not the case.
yeah,
On both ways, right? Whether they have life insurance or not.
It's a huge
And
issue.
if, the family, yeah, it is a huge issue. And when the families are paying using life insurance, I've seen it deter funeral homes from actually accepting that as a form of payment, and they
yeah.
even miss out on those opportunities.
Wow. It.
Yeah, we always joke, one of our biggest sales reps is when a funeral home gets burned just one
Yep.
time. And,
Mm-hmm.
they'll call and you guys will make the call. You'll verify the coverage and they'll say, yep, it's good policy. It's going to cover the $9,000 funeral service. And
Yeah.
then you find out a month later, oh, there was a loan. It's actually worth $2,000. Or no, it lapsed. They stopped paying premiums. This policy is worth nothing. And then, the funeral home is then at the crossroads. I got
Right.
to go call my family a month after the service
Right.
happened and say, hey, we're short 9 grand because the policy's not good
Uh.
that we verified with you in the office. And it's so funny because we offer non-recourse. So anything we fund, we never ask a penny back. If it goes south, we eat it. We eat the cost.
Wow.
And then, so the flip side of that is the funeral home, when you make that call, you don't just lose one family member. Now you've called a month later, the policy wasn't good, and how do you think that spreads? It spreads between their aunts, uncles, sisters, cousins. Funeral home
Friends.
verified
Everything.
the
Mm-hmm.
coverage. So you lose out on additional call volume, and it's really a ripple and domino effect. But
It is.
we see a lot of that. We see a lot of funeral homes sign up and say, "Hey, I'm done. I'm not sitting on hold. I'm not dealing with this anymore. Can you guys help us out?" And it's worked out pretty good for both parties involved.
Yeah, no doubt. And just that time that you're sitting there on the phone, it is just ridiculous. And how do you know who to trust, a family wise? Like, you take them for their word that this policy is good, and you do your due diligence and you make a call, but that happens all the time. And how could you possibly go back to them, even though maybe they were aware, maybe they weren't even aware, maybe it was their grandmother. Yeah, the policy's good. Like, they told them that 2 years ago. They said, oh, she's got a policy. You don't know. Like, the family might not even know. So it's a very tricky, touchy situation if you get burned. And coming from, I own a funeral home with my family, and I know how hard it is for those accounts receivable. Like, to collect that money, you never want to do it because it's so, like, they're going through a hard time, and
Yep.
you almost feel bad, even though you're providing such a great service. You almost feel bad charging, and it's like money situation and money talk and funeral service is so hard. And then that just makes it even harder if you have something like that. It's really tough. Why do you think, this is going back a little bit to what you were talking about at the beginning, that why do you think funeral homes, some of them are still behind and still are doing this old school way, which we do? So I want to know
Sure.
I know what my answer is, but I'd like to know, like, what your opinion is on it, in that respect.
I think it's a mixed bag. I think
Mm-hmm.
there's a mixed bag of reasons. I think one, maybe just lack of education or knowledge. One of how filing life insurance affects the business. We could go through a whole presentation on how it affects your
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
But then also, we always hear this in funeral space, to change is hard. So, you're
Bingo.
talking, yeah, it's hard. I
Yeah.
get it. It is hard. So I think that's a benefactor. I think some staff also, they say, well, we've got a girl, we've got a guy that does that. That's their sole job here. We don't want them to lose their job. And our response to that is, we don't want you to either. We are all about reallocating resources to where it makes sense for the business. Keep that person. You talked earlier, you wear 100 hats as a funeral director. You're an event planner, you're talking about finances, you're everything in between, embalming,
Sure.
To have an administrative staff, if all they're doing is sitting on hold all day, because on average they're going to be making 2 to 6 calls per insurance claim.
Crazy.
And if you've ever called an insurance company, you're going to sit on hold for probably 45 minutes before you get a hold of somebody. So challenges like that.
A lot of them, a lot of funeral homes still don't know what it is exactly, and they have maybe a misconception of how it works. They think, all right, I got to eat this fee, and most of our customers, over 90%, pass the fee to the policy, where it doesn't cost them a penny to use. Funeral homes think that, and then I think there's a misconception as far as just how many funeral homes use a funding company nationwide. I can tell you all of the corporate consolidators that I see, and when I say consolidators, 20 plus rooftops. I haven't seen a 20 plus location outfit that's not using a funding company. And they realize that it's time value of money. It's missed opportunity costs. I could buy another location if I'm not waiting for this money. Things like that. And they realize it's a waste of their staff's time. And it's, you're going from a multi-generational traditional model where, grandfather filed the claims this way and it's passed down. Well, the insurance companies have changed. And that's really when funding kind of took off. Was this is crazy. I'm waiting for $250,000 and I can't pay my staff or the mortgage building or the light bill or whatever it may be.
When funding companies really first came onto the space, the way that they would market to the industry was get your cash now, quick cash.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of funeral directors, I don't, they kind of turn them off.
Scammy,
You don't be known as having a cash flow problem.
Yeah. Right.
So when we came into this space, we said, it's not only a cash flow issue, but it's also administratively a burden, and it's an administrative cost. It's costing the business. Yeah. So, we kind of restructured, and we were the first in the space to actually start completing all of the claim forms for funeral homes and families. So there's still a lot of our competitors in the space who, even though they can they can verify the policy and get you the funds, you're still going to be doing a lot of administrative
work behind it. Yeah.
So
yeah, I like the Flanner Buchanan model. They didn't. They took those resources and allocated them in more successful areas of the business. And the casket space, they got into the wedding planning and all these other niches. And it's just, you got somebody waiting on hold potentially for an hour. We call Career, which is Kemper United Insurance Company. They own a bunch of insurance companies, top 5 largest in the world. It's an hour hold right now if we call. I mean, I promise I can give you the number if you want it here. But I mean, it's an hour.
Let's do it for the rest of the pod.
Yeah, let's just wait on hold.
It'll be some good, captivating content.
I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
No, there's no doubt. And it reminds me of, there was this episode of The Office. I don't know, have you ever watched The Office before? You ever seen it?
Really obsessed.
I know exactly I know where you're going.
So they have this sales pitch. I think it was was it Dwight and Jim? They go to this office to sell them on their paper, and they go, and Dwight's on the phone and he calls this big conglomerate paper company, and he leaves it on hold the whole time, and then they're going through this whole pitch, and then at the end he's like, you're probably wondering or something who was on hold this whole time. This was one of the other firms. Want to hear ours? And then they call and they answer right away. But it's such it's really funny in the show, but that's real life though too. That's not a joke. It's crazy having to deal with that. I'm curious as to how that works for your company. who's doing all these calls, how are these policies working, like who is doing all this work and how does it actually come to be? Because it's pretty impressive that you're able to deal with all these different insurance companies and able to. I'm sure you have got it down to a system, but I'm curious how it works.
Yeah, it's some challenges. Everybody thinks it's a sexy business to get in. I mean, from the outside, and
I don't know about
then you,
that.
then you
Just
get
kidding.
in
I'm kidding.
the weeds, and you're like, oh, this is a lot. It's
Yeah,
very capital intensive, and we've been able to negotiate kind of directly with the insurance companies where we're not having to call them all
smart.
the time, and we'll meet in the middle as far as data and things, so we can verify much more efficiently than your average, admin staff or funeral director calling to verify proceeds. A lot of the insurance company put things in writing now too, so some of it's just data dumps that they'll send us the verifications and things of that nature. But we we leave no stone unturned, and we have almost 100 people in this office. That's what they're doing. They're calling insurance companies, and it's a machine that
That's a
Yeah.
tough day. That is a
Yeah.
tough day.
yeah, yeah. But and I tell you, we get we geek out on this stuff, but
Yeah.
there's benefits to the family too, and that's what we're really seeing a change since COVID. The number one question, a family comes in and they have a $20,000 policy and they're using 7,000 out of that. We're seeing a lot of family members say, "Hey, when can I get the excess funds?" And the answer is yes. So we see a lot of, we call it family pay. That's our service. And we can get the family excess money they need for flying their sister in from across the country
Yeah.
so that she can go to the service. Some people want to be buried next to mom or dad, and they'll have $100,000 policy, and they'll say, let me go ahead and lock in spaces for all of my family so that we're there. So they'll tap into those excess funds and lock in a traditional service and a traditional burial. And we go around the country all the time, and we hear rise of cremation, rise of cremation. What can we do to combat that? Well,
Yeah.
there's a perfect opportunity for funeral directors. It's why not let your families and educate your families and say, hey, you've got a $50,000 policy. If you want to prearrange and use some of that, we can do that. So your kids will never have to go through this situation. So,
I love
uh,
that. That's a
yeah,
very good idea and a good way to use it because they can't just use that for anything that they want. Isn't that, um, or they get taxed on it like substantially, or what is the rules behind it as far as that works?
So no like rules like that. And I think just to maybe piggyback off what you said, just to bring a little more clarity, is let's say the family, they've got a $50,000 life
Yeah.
insurance policy. Your services are going to be $10,000. So the family's got a remainder left of this policy. Traditionally, what would happen is, we would fund what is needed for funeral services, and then the insurance company waits to get all the documentation. So if there's a pending death certificate that's going to take
Uh
six
huh.
months, insurance company is going to hold the remaining proceeds unless they get that death certificate.
Right.
So traditionally, the family is going to be waiting for the insurance company to cut a check. What we can offer is an additional financial service to advance those proceeds. So
Oh.
same thing, you need 10,000 for your services. We've got this remainder left over. Well, instead of waiting for insurance to cut that, we can actually advance any portion of that. And what we'll do is actually cut a check made out to the beneficiary for
Yeah.
any amount that they want. So some will use it for pre-needing of
their electric
services.
bill, their water bill.
Right.
It's amazing how many families don't have access to bank accounts, and that's a process getting
It
access and
is.
getting their name added. So they need to just pay the mortgage one more time, or
Right.
they need a little help with that.
Well, they want
Um,
to fly somebody in from out of town for
yeah,
the funeral
Yeah.
services, have access to cash. They know they've got a good policy, they've got money there, but they're not going to get it until
yeah,
insurance cuts it. And as a funeral home, you can't offer that service, but we can at Express. If you're utilizing us,
Yeah.
you can use this as an additional financial service to your families to
yeah.
get that money at need.
And
Super cool.
it's a huge PR when you hand deliver
Yep.
a check to a family member at your office, and they're going through the worst time of their life. That
Hmm.
you just ease that financial burden
Yeah.
um, tremendously. And we say all things final expense, and it could be anything that's helping them get through this most
Yeah,
difficult time of their life. And it's a cool thing. We've seen a
it's really
big
cool.
pickup since COVID,
Yeah,
and families wanting, $1,000 costs them a little over $35. So, to get $1,000 their next day for 37.50 is like a no brainer.
right,
So
exactly. And it just relieves them of the additional stress, whatever the circumstance might be. It gives them that leeway and that time that they can have with their family and with themselves, like to grieve. And that's a really, really nice extra benefit. And I was just thinking about what you were saying a little bit earlier, like there was not a grouping of funeral homes like a large group, like a 20 or 10 funeral homes that doesn't use something like this. I think like small funeral homes have to like say, hey, hello, like when I hear that stuff, it means like, okay, if the big dogs are doing it, I should be doing it. That's the way I look at it as a small, medium, small funeral home homes owner. You got to be doing these things to make sure you're staying with the times. We've heard a million times over how slow the funeral industry is to change, but all you have to do is just emulate the best practices, and that's the way you can progress in to meet those standards, and then eventually like you're going to be better than all those other small funeral homes, and then that's just a little side tangent, I guess.
no, I mean, it's true. They're very business forward on those because
Yeah,
cost of capital.
yeah,
They're looking at all these
yeah,
things, and it's expensive. It costs more money right now to borrow. So
it
they're
does.
the consolidators have it down when it comes to funding. They're very forward with that. And I think the ones that have suffered are the family-owned traditional firms that are
Hmm.
still trying to collect their AR. They're trying to clear up their AR when all the bigger operating firms are using somebody to collect their AR for them, or
Right.
tighten that up. But then the flip side, also to that is, um, we always hear that, oh, I can't charge the family a fee for filing this life insurance policy because I'll lose call volume. Well, I mean, I would challenge, look at the public financials of these companies that have been using funding companies for years, and look at their call volume over time. They've all went up. So
Right, there's always a million reasons to not do something that's gonna.
yeah,
It's the resistance to change. It drives me up a wall sometimes. So, it's you got to do what you have to do to progress and
it's
to get better.
it's a simple, the way you present it to the family and say, hey, we have a lot of overhead. I mean, we have a lot of expenses running this. Um,
Well, there's a
we
lot of
charge
risk
a nominal.
involved.
Yeah, there's a lot of risk
That
involved. We
as
charge
well.
a nominal,
Hmm.
and we use an underwriter that charges a nominal fee, or we'll take a check or credit card today. It's
Yeah.
that
What do you
simple.
want? Yeah. Exactly. It's not an option then, and people are understanding, and
Yeah,
it comes out of the policy. So it's not like they. I mean, maybe they are losing. What it doesn't even matter. It's like that's what it's there for. It's
yeah,
to
Yeah.
cover those final expenses.
And great point there. It is coming out of that policy, if it's available, which most of the time it is. So there's no out of pocket expenses for the family, and it's oftentimes money they didn't even know mom or dad had.
yeah.
So they're happy to
Yeah.
not have to do a million pieces of paperwork to get mom and dad's or aunt, uncle, whoever's funeral service paid for. There's a lot of stress that happens when you lose a loved one, and to add a financial burden on top of that, and how are we going to pay for services? It shouldn't be one.
Yeah. What are some of the things that are on the form that it's you have a standardized form? It seems like that funeral homes have to fill out. What are some of the things that are on that and what is the process like? Is it
Super
faxing or
simple.
is it online or what's going on?
We have an online system.
Oh, good.
Most of our funeral homes are transitioning to that. We've had hundreds and hundreds switch over the last couple of years. I think we're at about 50% go online, and then 50% are kind of old school.
I figure.
Um, Fax it or email it to us, but pretty much everybody's moving to online. It's so simple, but not much. I mean, it's who the funeral home is, it's who they think the policy's with, a little bit of info on the deceased and the beneficiary, and the beneficiary would sign one document and send it to us.
Oh,
either online or on fax or email. Once that's in, you're done. And we will verify all the coverage. Once we get the green light, we send a funding confirmation, and that lets you, the funeral home, know that those funds have been electronically transferred into your bank account. And then you're done. You don't have the claim forms, anything else. We do ask for a copy of the death certificate to be sent back to us.
yeah,
And occasionally it's an original if it's like a weird insurance company, but
sure.
um, that's the whole process. I mean, it's that simple. And, we have funeral homes that'll text us and call us. And I mean, the communication's always there. Most of the time, we always get this question. We can get a funeral home funded within that 24 to 48-hour window. And that is about 75 to 80% of the claims
Oh,
that
wow.
come in the door. The slower ones are traditionally your group insurance companies that are administered through a third party. They're kind of a nightmare to deal with. And it takes a little bit longer, but we offer conference calls and things like that that can help expedite those situations. But generally speaking, all of our funeral homes are funded before the service even has taken place. So they've already got the money secured in their bank account, and then they're going forward with the service. And that's the most, important thing for a funeral home operator is to secure payment, then go forward with it, or at least secure most of that payment. And
Yeah.
that's kind of how it works. But it's pretty easy. I mean, the forms all look the same. We've looked at our competitors, they've looked at ours. It's just basically simple. Some of our competitors they do have recourse. So I encourage anybody that's interested in using a funding company to look and really understand the differences. Make sure they're a non-recourse.
Right.
Sure they do all the claim paperwork. There's a lot of other bells and whistles that we offer. We have texting, like
Yeah.
you can get a text notice on your phone when the claim's been funded,
That's nice.
things like that. There's dozens of stuff that we have that
Yeah.
you know we don't I don't know,
Differentiates us.
Yeah.
differentiates us. Yeah.
Absolutely. What is the largest policy you've ever seen come across? Like amount of money?
Largest policy. I mean, we've seen multi-million dollar policies come
Wow.
across. They'll work usually like a Silicon Valley or something, and it'll
Yeah.
be two times their salary or something.
It's
The
crazy.
largest claim we've ever funded was about just under $400,000, and it was a real unique circumstance. Yeah,
They
it was
buried the whole
crazy.
neighborhood, or what happened?
Yeah, it was very no. Basically, long story short, is the family was within like a day of losing the family farm to auction to the bank, and the gentleman passed away, and he had a large policy, and they needed this money like wired straight to the bank to save the family farm. And
Wow.
able to verify it in 24 hours, and no other company I know can get something moved that quickly and verify the coverage and save this family's multi-generational estate. So it was
That's
pretty cool.
cool.
It
I
was
love
cool.
to
Yeah.
hear that.
For something like that, we lower reduced our fee because we've got a conscience too. And
Yeah.
We've
but
got souls.
we
Yeah.
got Christmas cards and letters from the family for several years afterwards, which was pretty cool too. Because
That's awesome.
we're pretty hands off. We're kind of behind the scenes. Unless the funeral home wants us to engage with the family, we
Hmm.
will not pursue them unless they say, "Hey, can you reach out to this family and work with them?" So, but yeah, that's the biggest one I can think of. But
That's crazy. So,
yeah.
Deanna, you were in casket sales before. How did you get into that? So you dove right. It seems like you've been in a couple of places in funeral service. So tell us how that came to be.
Yeah, so very, very random. I grew up in Maryland, just outside of Baltimore in Ellicott City. And when I graduated college, my parents had actually moved to Oklahoma. So, I didn't want to stay in Maryland and keep serving at the restaurant I was.
Hmm.
So I moved to Oklahoma and I worked for a private practice psychiatrist. I was his marketing executive and then worked at the Oklahoma City Zoo as
Oh,
a
cool.
marketing and PR gal there also. So Oklahoma, it wasn't my favorite. The tornadoes were a lot. I loved my job there. I loved the people were great, but I really wanted to get back to Maryland. So basically, every night I would just go on Indeed and look for any sales and marketing job, and the one for Thacker Gaskets came
No
across,
kidding.
and it got me back to Maryland. I've stayed with them for almost 2 years and had amazing experiences with them. They let me go out into the field, go to conventions, national, state, and that's where I met Express. Was at a convention in Atlantic City. It was the New Jersey State Show. Our booths were right next to each other, and one thing led to another, and I landed here. Then I moved to Louisville, Kentucky, where I'm at now. And I always tell, we'll do speaking engagements across the country, but I always say my mental health and zoological background really did prepare me for the future industry. At least the people enjoy.
That's great. That's great. How about you, Andy? How did you get? I know you've been there for quite some time now. So how'd you get started?
Less exciting than that. No, I grew up in Bardstown, about an hour south of where we're at in southern Indiana, kind of bourbon capital of the world, so to speak.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, no, it's fun. You got to come down and we'll do the tours. So we open invitation right there.
Love it.
I grew up, Bardstown was a cool place, and moved back from Western Kentucky. I went to college there, and then moved back to Louisville, and then worked for a company that does subrogation for health insurance, property and casualty insurance. Basically, recover money for big providers, and it was really corporate America, just a ton of people in the building, and just kind of not the culture I wanted to be around my whole life, and found this opportunity through my sister-in-law. She was working here, and it was a young kind of a startup deal, bunch of makeshift desk and random computers all shoved in one single room, and I was really looking to just be a part of something from the ground up, and that's how I got into space. And it's been a good journey, good ride.
That's so cool. I love to hear that it's so different, but kind of the same.
Did we lose audio there?
Oh.
Yeah, ours not. We can't hear you.
Can't hear you. Oh, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Something popped up.
I know. What's up there in the top right? That little
something.
By that under record. What's that? Okay, that was that. Say something again, Michael.
Hello.
Weird. I don't know. We lost you.
All right, stay there. Stay.
I can't
hold on.
Should we close out and come back?
I'm going to.
Don't do it.
He's going to do it. Okay. We'll do it.
Okay.
Any luck? No?
What was yours?
Let me see. Hold on one second. Let me do.
See, I can hear you. That's weird.
Speakers.
Maybe you try.
It's so weird.
You want us to try to leave? Okay.
He's back.
Come on.
I don't know what happened there.
All right.
Man,
All right. Good. All right.
we
Good.
gotta do the whole thing again.
Okay. Where was I? I don't
From
know.
the
No,
Hard
no.
cut right in
from
there.
Let's
the
just
top.
redo the whole thing. No. I'll ask. I guess I could ask like a final question, and I don't know what it was gonna be. I had a good one.
We were talking about where he
Oh,
started and
Yes.
coming
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
I think
I
I
got
think
it.
I
I got it.
right there
Yep.
on my
Um,
history.
so how do you acquire your funeral homes? Like all your clients, you have, you said you have almost 3,000 funeral homes. What do you do to get so many on board? I mean, that's a substantial number.
Dee's really good at stalking people on Facebook.
We just become their friends. Like, really,
Yeah.
we are really fortunate. We have the opportunity to travel all over the country. Our sales team, they're able to travel all over. They've got 8 or 9 states, in their region, and we just try to become friends
Yeah, hit a
with.
lot of trade shows. We're in all the publications, and really, we'll knock on doors and meet people through meetings and
Yeah.
just regional stuff, and honestly, try to leave no stone unturned as far as just spreading the gospel, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of different ways that we just kind of get to know funeral homes, and we're really non-salesy.
Yeah.
People meet us on the road, and we just really talk about it, and the product kind of speaks for itself, and
Yeah.
we know it's a good product because we've seen it work for years. So
Yeah.
we just kind of share how it works, and then funeral homes will all right, I'll try it out, and that's cool too because there's a trust factor. A lot of funeral homes, they're willing to try it because there's no contracts. They'll
Yeah.
try us for a claim or two or a couple claims. We always encourage like a pending case that they're going to wait for 4, 5, 6 months before they get their money and try it on something like that, and
Right.
then they kind of get a little taste, and it just goes from there. And
Yeah.
we get a lot of why did we not do this 20 years ago, which makes us feel really good. So it
No
makes me
doubt.
feel good. I know
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's a great way. Like, just it speaks for itself. Like, what we do works. It's easy. It helps you. Try it if you want. If you don't, that's on you. Whatever you want to do, that's okay. Uh, I guess my last question would be, where do you envision the company going and both of your careers? Do you want to stick around for a while, or what does that look like in both respects?
Well, I just put in my 2 weeks.
you know,
No,
You're
we
talking
got
how much you love it.
stay on for the interview after this.
I'm just gonna go. I think what's been really cool since my time in Express here, when I started, I was the 30th employee. We've got over 100 now.
Amazing.
I think the growth of our company, just really the team that I work with, has been amazing, and it's helped us accomplish, where we are today. So hopefully more growth. I hope that we can bring more value added services to our customers to make the process even easier, even
Yeah.
simpler. Um, but yeah, that's,
That's
Yeah,
great.
I mean,
and I hope to
honestly,
stay here. I really didn't put in my 2 weeks.
I know. I know.
I would just second that, and just growing with our customers too. We, not always is it a great fit. I shouldn't say this. Probably my boss probably yell at me, but we really care about the funeral homes we work with, and we're
Yep.
friends with them outside of the space. And I like that a funeral home can leave us on the drop of a hat because we earn their business on every claim.
Yep.
So we see, the good and bad, and this business is an imperfect science. You're going to get a terrible claim; it's just inevitable. If any funding company says otherwise, they're lying to you. I mean, you're going to
Right.
run into situations. Most of the funding companies and our competitors are pretty good at what they do, but it's really like who does the best service and who do you get along with and who
Everything.
offers them, the total package. Same with it goes to the families that trust you over maybe somebody else across town. It's just a trust factor.
Yep.
And I like having a friend on the other end where if something goes wrong, they're going to pick me up and say, Andy, what'd y'all do on this one? My bad. We got you. So
Right.
it's kind of fun. I joke like all my Facebook is now funeral friends and family.
Yeah.
we're nerds in the
It's
space.
just the way it goes. It really
It's
does.
the way it goes. I'm telling you. So, but it's fun. We like it. Hopefully, there'll be 200 people out there
Yeah,
before too
yeah.
long.
Really cool that you got in, so early, and it's growing, and it seems like a fun, good atmosphere to work in. And that's really cool. And we want to thank you for taking the time to talk with us. It's really good things to know, and how the inner workings of the process goes, because I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with different funding companies. So it's really entertaining and really insightful to get in there and pick it through to see how it works. So thank you both for taking the time to talk with us, and it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot, that's for sure.
Hey, thank
Yeah.
you, and much success for the
Yeah,
podcast.
for the pod. He's been
Pod.
calling it the
Oh,
whole
it's
time.
the
Yeah.
pod. What's the pod?
Thank you so
Cool.
much.
I need to know what that is. What's
No, thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it. Happy to come back anytime if you want us to chat. And
Don't call
Yeah.
it a podcast.
it's a pod.
It's a podcast.